Oh, yeah. It is time again for another episode of the Dancing with Wolves. Tonight's episode, 85, The Rockin' Oddities, Brick by Brick, one of the bands that will be performing October 28th, 29th over at the Saratoga Springs City Center. I see my brother Joshua Pitts in the house. We're going to be preparing his new video for a track that they had released back on their Obsidian album, but it's been fine-tuned and tweaked, and as brother and I were talking about the other day, it's definitely got a little bit harder edge to it. Really cool video. Really happy to be sharing it. As always, again, want to shout out everybody for their support and their help. A lot of this is really just my fucking madness and my love of music, not only as a musician, but, you know, as a fan. So I try and connect to the different scenes, be they slash thrash, slash metal, slash witch doom, hashtag ass blistering metal. I remembered that one. I put that one in my fucking promo today. Almost blew up my FM career last night because I'm so conditioned doing this fucking podcast that my language, many times. And I'm going to cut to something real quick because I got brother Mike Valenti called me a few minutes early. This is the joy of live stuff. So sit back, enjoy a track real quick, and I'll be back.
Towards the edge, there's a tension ever growing in the air. A child drags a blanket through the mud. She hides her eyes from the gleam of the sun, but we say, as below, so above, it shall be. The so-called trickle down, the piss of royalty. A world of stone and rock, the pain within our feet. Over the empty seas, to most certainly his grave. In his wallet, a wrinkled photograph of family's embrace. By decree of the crown, to war for naught but vain. They send the desperate poor to die, but we say, as above, so below, it will be. The tower of reflective glass, the view below their feet. We see ourselves while looking in, but inside can't be seen. The old proverb speaks true. Something about homes of glass and throwing stones. Well, the rocks have been just streaming down from the top of the palace walls. Wouldn't it be just a shame if we returned him home? As above and below, we will be. How soon we see you back around, broken on your knees. The pinnacle of wealth abound, now a pile of debris.
All right, so we're back. We had a little bit of my brother Mike here threw it off by 10 minutes, but we were just joking. This is the dynamic of being live. You just have to sometimes adapt. And let me get this. There we go. There's the Brick by Brick logo. So, Mike, to everybody out there, your band Brick by Brick, in your own words, why don't you tell me a little bit about who and what you guys are?
What's up, everybody? Brick by Brick is a metal band with a hardcore attitude. We cross through several different genres, everything that encompasses heavy. So we've played with hardcore bands, we've played with thrash bands, we've played with death bands, we've played with, all sorts of heaviness all over the spectrum. We've been at it for technically we've been together 20 years, but we weren't active until the past 9 years. So the first portion that we were together, we didn't have a lineup that was able to tour properly and support any releases. So we never really released too much. And then when we got the current lineup that we have, we went with, we got onto a couple labels and we started touring. So
took it to the next level, as they say.
As in the, yep. And, we've remained in the underground. We've had opportunities to expand and we're older. We've been at this for a long time, so we kind of do this at our own pace. If I was back in my 20s, then we would have definitely been at the next level. But like I said, we're at a comfortable spot where we can tour at our leisure. We can, we have a label that works with us that, as long as we play X amount of dates per year, then they don't care how we do it or where we go or whatever. So,
well,
we usually have
you're preaching to the choir to some degrees, right? You being older gives you that unique perspective. You've been down in the literal trenches for years. You're what my buddy refers to as a street band. You guys just were doing shows, doing parties, probably just, anytime.
Everything.
Yeah. And
we've played everything from backyards and basements to stadiums. So, we've been all over the spectrum.
But also, too, in the same dynamic, you guys have the luxury now of being able to frame this the way you want. I was joking on my radio show last night. Your music almost got me completely fried because I was listening to it and I played the one track that I knew I could get away with because you got a lot of good lyrics, but we both know the FCC doesn't fucking play that way. So the disconnect between the online scene and the FM scene is like, fucking cavemen to, today's man. But besides that, I just came out of my mouth. I was like, fuck, and it was just like, But out here, we don't have to worry about that. And that's one of the beautiful things is without that restriction, sometimes those words are needed. You know what I'm saying? They have an emphasis. It's not like you're just screaming through the whole fucking track, fuck, fuck, fuck. You know what I mean? But sometimes language reflects a dynamic, be it cultural, be it an emotional thing, because that's the one thing that is very definitive about your music. It's emotional. It's raw. It's not filtered. It's not prepackaged. And, to some degrees, once you get to, a certain point and you start dancing with the record companies and the commercial bullshit, a lot of that gets stripped down. We saw what happened to Metallica and a lot of bands along the day from when we were growing up. And it's kind of like, kind of better to hang back a little bit, keep that original versus just, bending over and then becoming something fucking else.
Yeah, I mean, we're a blue collar band, so we're not elitist by any means. So the stuff that we sing about is true, whether it's, regarding the streets or whatever. It's true to form. We don't sing about stuff we don't know about, I guess you could say,
Well, some of it also reflects the dynamic of your journey. Like one of the tracks I'm going to play that I was really impressed with was Loyal to the Grave. It is literally a testament to somebody, obviously, that you guys were close to, that was part of your crew, your circle, however you want to put it. And you guys not only, did the track, but you created, a forever testament to it. It's a living memorial. And I really appreciated how you guys did it because it reflected the other side of it. You know what I mean? But it still had the energy within, what you were trying to explain, because it's two ends. One is the personal dynamic, but it also reflects to some degrees, the old school concept of honor, having your brother's back, loyal, and those things that, people talk about in words, but when it comes to fucking action, you know what I mean? Teach a parrot to recite scripture. How many people actually walk that walk? But you guys actually fucking did it. You put it out there and said, yeah, this is to our friend.
Yeah, and then next thing you know, they're gone. And I always say there's never enough pictures, there's never enough videos, there's never enough, memorials about, the people that you lose. And, once they're gone, you just sit back and you're like, wow, the loyal to the grave. That kid was stand up. He wouldn't tell on you. He wouldn't do anything that a lot of fake people do, I guess you could say. So, yeah.
Now, when you guys put that together, was that track written with that intent, or did it just kind of end up that way?
It was written prior to his passing, but it was written about what we stand for. And if you knew Rick, then you would know that every word about it is true. And there's a part in the song where it talks about the flip side of being loyal, and he was a victim of not somebody that wasn't. They were a rat, and he did some jail time and all that. It was because of somebody that couldn't keep their fucking mouth shut, and he did, and he owned it, and he did what he had to do. And then like I said, it just that was what the song was about. And then next thing you know, he's not here, and I'm like, wow. So we decided to make a video for that song and do kind of like a friends and family kind of vibe, because all these people that he knew, it's just we wanted them together.
That's where the magic happens. I'm a big proponent, regardless of how you want to slice it up. Everything is a form of energy. Magic is energy. Music is energy. Hate is energy. Love is fucking energy. It's just how we translate it, how we frame it, varies from person to person. And it was obvious from the video that you guys obviously had a deeper connection. You know what I mean? And also, too, that framework, and regardless of the context, of having those bonds, standing for something versus, like you said, just being a fucking rat and, putting people out to dry, because everybody gets caught into shit at some point in their life. You know what I mean? Yep. It isn't like, a lot of us choose, we wake up in the morning, or, some people probably fucking do, but we're not talking about them. But you get what I mean. We find ourselves with these choices, these crossroads that we hit. And it does sometimes come to, are we going to stay loyal, even, be it a person, a concept, an idea, whatever the fuck it may be.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just, be a man, own your shit.
Or be a woman. I mean, listen, women, women deal with the same shit. And
be an adult.
There you go. Because we can't do that high school shit anymore. Now, talk a little bit. I know you're going to be doing, I'm going to throw it out there because I know Jem is stalking out there in the shadows. And I'm going to throw it up here. You guys are one of a bunch of bands that are going to be performing at the Rock and Oddities Con over in Saratoga Springs. And it's really a wild lineup. Like, I know Pete Palace from Annika from, some shows from back in the day. Black Belt Jones, The Tradition, a couple of the bands that, sent me music. I've been, floating them in through there. And you guys, Brick by Brick, you're part of Upstate Records. So how did you guys come into this mix?
Ralph Renna from The Tradition, who I'm very, very good friends with, asked if we wanted to play. He said that Jem was looking for bands, and he told me what some of the lineup was or what the theme was, and I'm like, you know what? It's like it was out of the box for us. It's not a typical show, and it just sounded fun, and it was like a break from the monotony. I don't want to say the word monotony, but it
can be. Listen, different. You're a performer. You do the same songs at shows over and over, and whereas you guys are into it, there is a sitting element sometimes, especially if you're playing at the same fucking places. And we were talking about this earlier. It's getting tougher between the clubs that are left post-pandemic and, some of the corporate bullshit in getting shows going, especially, into the metal or the thrash and the stuff, because people look at that and they automatically, they're going to destroy the place. And it's like, no, man, they're going to buy a lot of fucking drinks and make you money.
Yep. And I roll up and I make friends with the bartender as soon as we walk in the door.
Yeah, Josh Pitts from Bonded by Darkness, they're doing a show a few weeks down in Ohio with Braille. They were originally going to play. They're going to be on next year. Jim and I are talking. We're going to try and do 2 of these things, but I definitely would like to get you up here into Rochester. There's a lot of guys that are desperate for some of that hardcore dynamic. And, it's just the nature of music. You know what I mean? Same thing happened to the punk scene in the early days of, the metal. But what has kept it the same for you, or, to the degree that if it has changed for you?
Well, I mean, and you're mentioning Rochester. We played the Bug Jar. We played Montage Music Hall. So we've been through those venues up there. But
you've already danced with Randy.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we've been on tour several times, and we've hit the circuit, and we're international. We'll go over to Europe. We got dates in Australia next year. We got we're all
cool.
over the place. But I mean, the Rockin' Oddities thing, it was cool. I just want to go and hang out. And the thing is like all the bands they may all be heavy, but they're different genres of heavy, and that appeals to me. I like hanging out with everybody. So our goal is to get there as soon as doors open, set up shop, and just wander around and just hang out all day.
Oh, listen, it's the best way to get the music out too. You find, different elements of, styles, and this person knows that person. I mean, it's the old school way of, building not only a fan base, but, getting those contacts to be able to play shows like this. And I was like you, I was like, this is a wild fucking concept. You know what I mean? She's got, belly dancers, snake charmers, witches, metal, pretzel guys. I mean, you fucking name it.
Hell yeah. And awesome. I mean, usually when we roll into a town to play a club, it's, the club's closed, so we got to set up. There's nobody there except for some of the staff. And then by the time you get everything set up, it's a long process. And by the time you play and interact with the people, it's like you've already been there 6 hours. And then you play, and then everybody leaves, and you're just like, just like, there's going to be people there throughout the whole day. So I'm just excited just to mingle and just talk to people. It's
going to be really cool. That's part of what I'm going to be doing. And listen, if you survived loading into the Montage, you can fucking handle anything. You know what I mean?
You don't even know. We've played we played this place Hard Luck in Toronto, and that is like a 3-story load in, and the equipment we have is not small. And that sucks.
Oh, you guys got a fucking monster sound. What are you running, by the way?
I run a Mesa dual rectifier head. It's a real simple setup. I got a noise gate. I got a 5-band EQ and a little bit of a boost in there, and then I run 2 cabinets in stereo, one on each side of the stage. But they're all in road cases, and they're all gigantic, and everybody I noticed like a lot of the bands we play with are going smaller, and I'm just like, fuck that. I bought and paid for this stuff. I'm using it.
Yeah, no doubt. Now I'm an old school Marshall guy. I finally I got tired of just dragging around the pedals and stuff, so I bought one of those new Boss multi-pedal fucking, emulator monstrosities. Once you get around the learning curve, it's actually pretty cool. You can, do some fancy little things, but most of it is just for, like you said, some of the EQ, or, if I want to crack out some wah, or, a little bit of effect. And I just, I drive between the pickups and the head, and just, I had a buddy of mine hotwire one, so I can just get that deep, But you guys definitely, the other side of it, and we've both seen bands like this, you can be fast and you can be heavy, but if you're not, and I mean not literally right on fucking point, it becomes a blur. You guys are on fucking point. Like, the timing with you guys was really impressive. And that only happens when, you've really been doing it long enough to understand that nuance. Because it's, going into a studio, you can do a track 30,000 times over until it sounds the way you want it. Playing fucking live, though, and especially, when you're talking about playing stuff that's that fast, You know what I mean? You have to be on your fucking game. There is no way around it, or it just becomes just a fucking mess. And you guys, you know, I've seen some of the live stuff that you guys have put out there. You guys are fucking tight.
I appreciate that. You know, and we barely ever rehearse. I mean, because we're scattered all over the place. I mean, my singer, he was living in Texas. My drummer's from Massachusetts. My bass player lives out near Elmira. And I'm in Albany, so it's like
that's hysterical. My singer lives in Texas as well too. That's fucking. I started doing tracks with him during the pandemic because nothing was going on, and I was just like, I have to fucking do this. I have to do something. So we kind of hooked up, and incredible voice, and we just started, you know, bouncing shit back and forth with Dropbox, and that was, you know, that was really the only way to get anything done. So I appreciate that. I respect that because it's not easy to hold a lineup together, especially again with the way things are, and you know, especially again as we get older.
Yeah, and I mean this lineup. I mean we've been consistent for some time now, and we don't argue, we don't bicker. It's like, you know, in the beginning I just said, listen, here's the deal. You're not at work. You're not with your wife or girlfriend. You're hanging out with the boys. I said, we're going to play some music, and if we make a couple bucks, then bonus. You know, but it's been more of a bonus than anything the past few years. So
listen, to do what you do, you have to love it because we all know nobody's getting fucking rich off this.
No. But, you know, like I said, I mean, and it's just amazing the friends that we've cultivated over the years and the bands that, you know, show respect. And I'm just like, you know, I'm looking at my singer and I'm like, is that really Gary Holt on the side of the stage, you know, watching us? It's like, you know, or, you know, the members of Eight Breed just sitting there and high-fiving us in between songs. I'm like, oh, this is surreal, you know?
Yeah, no, listen, I totally get it. There are those little subtleties, especially within the different circles, that when you have, I guess, what you would call your peers and stuff actually hanging, and you can tell, you know what I mean, when they're digging it and stuff. I mean, it's the best testament to what you're doing is right.
Yep. So, yeah, like I said, we're just having fun, and whatever gets thrown at us, we just deal with. That's it.
Cool. So I'm going to kick in and turn everybody on to the track we mentioned. I'm going to start it off with Loyal to the Grave, and then we'll jump back and we'll talk about a couple of your other tracks and whatever else you guys got going on.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, hang in there. Enjoy a little bit of Brick by Brick, Loyal to the Grave.
That's just how I be. fucking face for your life. You're a fucking rat, I see in your eyes. Nowhere to run, from here you get high. You're just another baby under the sky. Make your fucking face for your life. Never been one to hold my tongue. Mental health on me. Speak my mind, my word is my bond. Loyal to the grave.
You know, you can't pick up your phone. You see his read. You see the name coming up. You know who I am.
All right, so we're back. That was Loyal to the Grave. We were just talking offline about the state of affairs in the fucking music scene. Tell us a little bit about Upstate Records, because I know you guys now have found at least what appears to be a level of comfortability working with these guys.
Yeah. So we were signed to a couple other labels before Upstate, and they're just standard deals. Nothing really major. We just had a one album deal with Eulogy. We have one album deal with Fast Break Records, and I pay attention to the numbers for my band, and basically those labels didn't.
They talk a lot of real. It's like a parrot, man. It just recites what the things you want to fucking hear.
They were just relying on the fact that they just assumed that we were just a dumb band that didn't pay attention. And we have a lawyer, and I'm just like, hey, numbers aren't jiving here. Can you find out what's up? And sure enough, so we got out of our contract with Eulogy, and we got all of our product from them, and basically had them erase us off their roster. And then we were on. Then the same thing happened with the second label, and we just called them on their shit and just said that you owe us this much money, or we want all our product in hand. I want it shipped to my house, whether it's a shirt or a CD or a whatever. We ate the loss on the streaming stuff, but it doesn't matter. So when Mario and Kim were doing Upstate Records, they were just starting out, and I've known Mario for 30 plus years. We played in a band together in high school, and he was telling me about this label, and I was just telling him about the problems that we were having with the label, and he goes, well, do you want to do your next release with us? I said, well, I will. But here's the things that were wrong with the other labels. I said, don't do these things to us. He's like, okay. So we came to an agreement, and you know what? He's transparent. He treats us fairly, and there's money to be made, and it's fun just knowing that we're not getting screwed.
What better fucking advertisement can you make for a label? Especially because my sister Raven O'Reilly's in the chat and stuff. You can't see it, so I'm going to kind of just do that cross-translation thing. She's the lead singer for Bonded by Darkness, and they went through a very similar thing with a previous label. And I can't tell you the number of fucking people, and I'm talking guys, to some degrees that are name guys, you know what I mean, that have gotten, a little bit of success. My buddy Jamie Fletcher, he sung with Modern Superstar back in the day. Danny Watts with the Bullet Boys, and just the level of fuckery that these characters just think that they can float. It's astounding sometimes, because you and I both know to certain degrees the way we grew up, that would get your ass kicked in the shadows. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing.
And we've had label interest from bigger labels, but like I told you before, we're older and we want to do tour cycles on our terms. People got families, people got responsibilities now. We're not in our 20s. So these major labels, they weren't a good fit for us because, they want you on the road 300 days a year, and it's just like, I'm not doing 300 days. I'll do 100, but I'm not going to do 300. And I'm like,
Oh, dude, it's brutal. I covered Marshall Tucker back in July, and I've known Doug Gray for a few years through my buddy Chris Miller, who, by the way, said he really liked that track. His girl, Susie, deep, old school metal chick and stuff like that. So Tell Susie I brought Brick by Brick specially for her. But it's a, you know, it really does translate that way. Those guys are still out touring on a fucking bus. Doug Gray is 75 years old. You know what I mean? Going from city to city to city. I mean, just all up and down. And they're usually on tour, 9 months out of the year.
Yeah, I mean that's a long time. Like I said, if I was in my 20s, you goddamn right I'd be out there doing it. And I have done it to a certain extent, but with this band, I get together with the guys, at the beginning of the year or whatever, after we record, I'm like, all right, how do you want to tour? What months do you want to go out? Okay, we want to do 3 tours this year. All right, we'll do a 3-week tour in Europe. We'll go West Coast, and then we'll do East Coast. And then the following year, we're going to go to Australia, and then we'll do Europe again. And then we'll do, so there's a method to our madness, and we don't get to see everybody in frequently, but we do make it out. We just did a Midwest run to some areas that we haven't been since before the pandemic. So, and that was fun. And it was well worth it. But, like I said, if we're doing it for 9 months, I'm like, that's what breaks bands up. And
well, you said it very well. It has to be about balance. You got to have life. You got to have families. You got to have other things, or else what's the fucking point of doing it? Don't get me wrong. Some people just live, they eat and breathe that shit. And you know what? More power to you if that's your thing. But like you, there are other things in life. You know what I mean? And part of it also, too, if you do it too much, I think it loses, the magic. You see where I'm going? Yeah, it becomes a job, right?
And I'm not opposed to that. But like I said, I'm not 25 anymore. I want to ride my motorcycle. I want to go to a ball game. I want to hang out with my wife. I want, I want to do stuff. The road can be brutal.
Yeah, no, that's a fucking understatement. So tell me about this next track that I'm going to queue up for folks, because I really, really love this one. Not only, in the track, and this is the one I played on the radio show last night, but the video is absolutely incredible, The Hunted. And you guys literally, this is like, the Muppets meet Sons of Anarchy to some degrees. You know what I mean? It's like this fucking grimy biker bar, and you've got this wild stylization going on with it. Where the fuck did that come from?
Well, I was sitting home and I was watching this stupid movie called Happy Time Murders.
Oh my God, I know the movie.
It was, it was just one of them movies you didn't have to think through, but it was nothing but Muppets in it. And it was violent.
Wall. Yeah, off the fucking wall.
And I was just like, you know what? I don't know of any bands that have a Muppet video. And I called my friend. And and he was a producer, and he does like B movies and stuff from Mechanical Shark Media out of Philadelphia. And I said, I have this idea. And he goes, oh, I love it. I said, what do you think? And he goes, well, let me get back to you. And like maybe a week goes by, and he goes, hey, I'm gonna do this. I said, you are? He goes, I said, all right. I said, what do you think this is going to cost? He goes, it's going to cost a lot of time. He goes, but you know what? I want to do it so bad. I'll just reimburse me for materials. I'm like, all right, why not? So it took him an average of 2 months to do each one of the puppets. And all we did was destroy them. I don't even have them. They're all wrecked. And everybody's like, did you get to keep your puppet? I'm like, no, we fucking smashed it.
Maybe got to keep some stuffing to the side, but...
Yeah, nothing. But, so we did it. And I just told him, I said, here's the song. I said, just do whatever you want. I don't care. You tell me what it is. I go, not like we got to be there. I go, it's Muppets or what puppets.
But man, you've got an incredible piece of fucking art and music combined in just, again, I was blown away by it. I'm going to stop talking about it. We're going to cut out real quick. I'm going to play this track, the video, for those of you that are actually watching. If you're just listening to the podcast, definitely get over to YouTube, check it out, okay? It's called The Hunted, Brick by Brick. You can find them on Facebook, social media. They're all over the fucking place. Give them a like, give them a share. But this is one of those moments you have to see to appreciate. So I'm going to shut the fuck up. I'm going to play it, and then we're going to be back.
Hey, pal, what's in the basket?
The hunter.
All right, weirdo. You're out of here.
Thank you very much. We're Brick by Brick from Albany, New York. We like shots. Bring us some whiskey. Bar is open over at the merch table. Give us your money.
All right, guys, let's go. Let's pack this shit up.
Not me. I'll meet you out there. I gotta pinch one off.
Yeah, me too.
No, come on. Pack up. Let's go.
Yeah, we keep our songs short.
Dude, that was fucking epic. Listen, I'm, a couple people I'm seeing comments like, that's one angry puppet. Gruesome, even if it is Muppets. Yeah, well, I mean, it sends a message. And it really is. It's fucking powerful, man. It just, especially, you see the bottle and they're like, oh, you know what I mean? It's just so off the fucking wall.
Well, I've been known to drink a bunch of Jack Daniels, so.
Yeah, well, listen, we all have those particular. Fucking Chris Miller's like, more like a Gwar video.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But knowing where the influence came, you could have gone so much fucking deeper down the rabbit hole, because we both know Happy Time just went to absolutely ridiculous places. Like, in no reality did I ever imagine, seeing a Muppet jizz off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, shit like that, and it catches you off guard because, it has that, we're just dancing along, and all of a sudden somebody pulls their dick out, and it's just like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, this is not the Sesame Street I grew up on.
Yeah.
But again, it's a great testament. You know what I mean? This is one of the things, and I look at that and I say, you know what? You can't unsee that. You can't forget that. And the music he really did it. You let him know he did a fucking great job with that. You know what I mean? And, especially with, some of the way, the camera elements and, the puppets are just losing their fucking minds and stuff like that. It had that, that energy, that magic to it.
It was fun to make too.
Yeah, I could imagine that must have that documentary right there would probably be even more fucking entertaining.
Oh my God. We were laughing the whole day. It was amazing.
Dude, how could you not? I mean, I could imagine all of the little side dialogue with the fucking puppets and shit. Everything that didn't make it into the fucking video.
Yeah, and like I said, my band, they're not local, so I was the only one there. So they didn't see anything until the finished product.
Oh, dude, that must have been great. That is like fucking Christmas morning, just it's just
I
like
know.
You got the Red Ryder BB gun, and you're like, oh, yes. But it is definitely a cool piece of work. So again, what other shows? I know you guys are doing, are you playing the 28th or the 29th at Rock Oddities? You playing Saturday or Sunday?
We're on the Saturday, the 28th.
Okay.
I think we're on at 4:00 in the afternoon.
Okay, cool. So we'll definitely run into you. We'll hang out, shoot the shit, and create some chaos and mayhem online for that. It's gonna turn into Off the Hook. We just don't want it to turn into like the 90s Woodstock, like people surfing and shit and any of that. But listen, I have a feeling, and Jem was a little uneasy. I'm like, listen, once the word breaks, and you know how these things tend to go, people have been desperate, to do shit, especially stuff that's outside the box. Yeah. So, she's got everything. She's got the paranormal people, the witches, the belly dancers, the music, all of it. And I have a gut instinct that once that vibe hits, you know what I mean? Saratoga Springs is it's gonna be fucking lit that weekend.
It's awesome. And the other bands that are playing, I know a few of them, and I've been checking out the ones that I didn't know, and she doesn't have a bad band in the whole bunch. They're all great, Yeah,
listen, she's definitely trying to and succeeding in creating a new environment. Same analogy, and we're gonna put Jem out on the fucking spotlight for this. There's a difference, and you've been doing this for a while. A lot of people talk a really good talk again. They'll blow smoke up your ass, blah, blah, blah. But she's legitimately invested. You know what I mean? She's real. And not only what she's trying to do, but the reasons why she's doing it. You know what I mean? So she has been not only, transparent, but really open and supportive to say, you know what? I want to bring these elements together. Strength in numbers. You dig what I'm saying?
Exactly.
What you do, what I do, what she does, what everybody does, there are common elements. Now, granted, we're probably not all going to sit in the same bar and get hammered together, but we can find ways to share the magic, be it the music, be it a bunch of crazy fucking Muppets, be it, a snake charmer or, the witches doing their voodoo dolls and making bad men pay for pulling their dicks out, which I'm totally behind, by the way. I just want to make that perfectly clear. Tony Gerald's like, yeah, Jem is kicking ass. She definitely is. Definitely is.
Yeah, I spoke to her on the phone, and she was just such a nice person. And it's like when we were kind of brokering the deal and trying to get things going, there was the emails just weren't translating right. And then once we had the phone call, I was like, all right, I get what you're doing now. It was a little confusing at first, but once we had that phone call, she's just such a nice person. I was just like, absolutely, we're down to play for 100%, so I'm glad we're a part of it. And we've been putting the flyers out there, and we're getting a lot of feedback. Like, people are like, what is this? And I'm like, it's just go, because it's going to have an element.
It's going to be fucking everything. That's what you say. It's going to be fucking everything you can imagine, man. And then
exactly. Exactly. But the thing is, I don't really know what to tell them either, because I've never been to it. So that's why I'm really
well, here's the beautiful thing. To my understanding from my conversation with Jem, that she's done a bunch of other types of expos and things, but they were more into the witchy, paranormal type of stuff. And she wanted to switch the dynamic. So, we started talking, she hooked up with some bands, and, she took some of the concepts that were out there and said, you know what, let's just simplify this and get this all together. So in many ways, she's creating a new template. So a lot of this is organic, which I think is really beautiful, because, not everybody is into the same thing. Like you said, they may be into, Ralph and the Tradition, which is a really good band. You know what I'm saying? Or, Pete and Annika, or you guys, or any of the other bands. I haven't had a chance really, to interact with like Suicide Puppets and some of the other ones, but a lot of the feedback from what I've been seeing has all been really positive.
Good. I mean, that's all anybody can hope for is a positive event, And listen, for those of you at home who are listening and can't see the flyer up there, you can check it out on social media, Facebook, all those places, or you can go to Rock Oddities Con, CON, as in Nancy, .com. Okay, let me tell you something, and we all know this, with the way ticket prices are and venues and everything like this, you're never going to find so much stuff in a weekend for what she is charging. I mean, let's really be blunt. You can't even go see one band for what, a weekend pass is, and you've got a whole host of bands through the fucking weekend. All the other stuff. I want to shout out some of the people that have been helping out. You got That Fuzzing Rock Show, 518rock.com. Blackbird Tattoo, really cool guy, really cool work. You got 518scene.com. Frank Palangi. And, us. Yeah. Well, we don't really care about them. But, and again, some of the bands, you know what I mean? I had never really heard before. Like, I had never heard the Tradition before. I had never heard your band. I knew Annika. I had heard of Suicide Puppets and Alloy Rain. You know what I mean? Psychomantic had never heard of them either. And in listening to it, like you said, there really isn't a bad band in the bunch. Nope.
Which is unique these days. Let's be honest.
Especially when you're doing that many bands and of different genres, I'm just excited to see how it pulls together.
Yeah, I think it's going to be wild. Like you said, there's a lot of commonalities. There are a lot of influences. You and I grew up, we were listening to things like Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, and then it became harder things, Dead Kennedys, this, that. I know you got a lot of deeper hardcore influences. I was kind of more into as I like to refer it, the Lamore scene, Merciful Fate and early Iron Maiden, Metallica, shit like that. But there's still common elements that ties all of that together, regardless, if it was, early CBGBs or Lamores or any number of places that have supported, different forms of metal over the years. We mentioned the Montage. You know what I mean? There's still places around, thank God, that fucking made it through the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. So let's talk about this final track that I have before I let you go. This one that was in the list that Mary sent me is Hive Mentality, and it features somebody specifically on it. Why don't you kind of set this one up for folks?
All right. So we did this song, and everything we write about kind of reflects like what's happening in the world. So if you see the video, you'll understand. But I have a really good friend. Her name's Jessica Pimentel, and she is in a black metal band called Alakeen's Gun. But she's also an actress, and she was on Orange is the New Black. She was one of the main characters on there. So just having her on the music side, I asked her, I said, hey, can you do like a little thing on this? She goes, absolutely. So she was excited to do it, and she pulled it off, and she looks pretty tough in it. So
Nice. That's a great setup as any. All right, so folks, sit back and enjoy a little bit of the hive mentality, and then we'll be back.
Living life with no concern. Don't care for what you said. Giving me 1,000 reasons to smash your fucking head. You're just another truth, following mine. Only doing what you're told, poisoning your mind. Turning a blind eye with a knife in your back. Trusted no one. My blood running black. You're just another drum, following mine. Only doing what you're told. Thinking and getting old. Tired of all the things. Surrounded by fucking single one at your back. They never did. No one gives a fuck. They never did.
You know what? I'm sick and tired of all these weak motherfuckers controlling their shitty lives around others. Get your own fucking life. Get your own fucking thoughts. Get up off your ass and do something for yourself. If not, it's time for you to get the fuck out of the way or you'll get trampled. Cut the cord. Get out of the media's pocket. Put your smartphone down. Look people in the eye. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. And stop being cattle.
No one has your back. They never did. No one gives a fuck. They never did. You're just another drum, following mine. Only doing what you're told, poisoning your mind. Tired of all the things. Surrounded by fucking things.
So yeah, welcome back. That was Brick by Brick, Hive Mentality, featuring Jessica. And how do you say her last name again?
Pimental.
Pimental. Okay. Yeah, the way the track listing, it just says Jessica Pym. And I knew it's like, I know that's not her fucking name.
Yeah, she always yells at me for spelling her name wrong too. We were doing it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, But
that's a really cool way to, to cross some of those elements. Somebody that you would not necessarily see on the track. You know what I mean? Granted, she's got her own career, and you know what I mean? I haven't watched the show, but I've heard a lot of people talk about the show. So obviously she's doing something right. You know what I'm saying?
And she's married to Thomas from Meshuggah now.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, the drummer. So,
okay.
Yeah, like I said, the metal roots run deep everywhere.
There you go. Yeah, there's a band I haven't heard tagged in a few. Yeah, no, my kid first turned me on to Gojira.
Nice. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, they were listening to shit like, Slipknot, and, they were doing those early Ozfest tours where we just like some deep hardcore bands that you just would never see any other way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then those shows started changing, and it became, the pay to play, and a lot of that just kind of, disappeared and was replaced with other things. But, again, that was one of the things, and, I do music with my kid, so it was really wild having him educate me. It was like, all right, I'm the old man, I'm the father, I'm supposed to do the fucking educating. He's like, yeah, no, listen to this, old man, this is some fucking shit. And I was like, damn.
Well, that's good, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, the evolution is beautiful, and that's really what it is. Music continually evolves. It takes from some element, some influence, be it this, be it that, and then, it gets kind of, repurposed into, something new. And that was one of the things, again, that I really liked about what you guys were doing. You have that deep tightness, you know what I mean? And you also have, obviously, some of those personal moments, be it in doing the track like, Loyal, or, just for fucking pure comedic purposes, a bunch of drunken fucking Muppets, you know what I mean, doing a gig.
Then on our most recent record, we got Chuck Billy from Testament did some vocals on there for us too. So
cool. Well, definitely. Now, I mean, again, what would you say, honestly, with your catalog? Pretty much most of your stuff has explicit lyrics in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, Ray can't help himself.
No, listen, I respect it, because what I mean.
If you talk to him, every other word out of his mouth is fuck. I mean,
I have that problem
conversation with him, I'm like, dude, you got a problem.
Well, sometimes it's the only way we can get our points across. That's the problem that we've run into, is language has kind of taken on its own narrative. Everybody's got their own translation. You say one word and somebody's off on some completely different other fucking tangent. But, other, elements, a lot of dudes out there still don't understand no means fucking no. And the rest of us have to pay the fucking prices because they can't keep their dick in their pants. And it's just like, come on, man. It's just like, really? Do we still have to deal with this fucking stupidity? But some of it is just, in the moment, too, that mob mentality, you know what I mean? You get even a whisper of, ooh, you know what I mean? Everybody's like, got the pitches and pitchforks and torches, and they're ready, they're ready to crucify people. Like, I joke with my buddy Ed, because, he's a little bit older, but he's an old school Jersey City guy. And I'm like, man, you can't talk like that anymore, man. Because they'll fucking nail you, man. They will nail you to the fucking cross in a heartbeat. And they will. That's the world we live in now.
It's terrible.
But you guys, that hasn't stopped you. I mean, I can tell just by the way you're laughing, just like, I don't give a fuck. Let them come, right?
Yeah, go ahead, cancel me. What the fuck's that going to change?
It might get you more. Listen, it might get you more publicity these days. Let's be honest, because I think a lot of people want it. Yeah, listen, the prepackaged, it has no taste. But I mean, again, I don't begrudge anybody making a living, and I don't get the impression that you do. But there has to be a point, you know what I mean, to call it for what it is. It's just like, okay, if you want a stale rice cake, here it is, fine. But the rest of us don't want that.
We're a spicy meatball.
It's just a spicy meatball. Did you ever check out Rob Zombie's the Super El Bisto thing that he did?
No.
You got to check it out. It's an animated thing that he did. It's completely off the wall. It's got Dr. Satan and all kinds of.
Yeah, I definitely got to check that out.
Real interesting shit. And there's a segment that the character Super El Bisto, he's doing like this weird animated porn scene, and he's like, "You want my spicy meatball?" And I'm thinking, is he doing a pop culture shot? Because you nailed the happy time thing. I was like, oh man, that's great inspirational stuff. But the spicy meatball actually has a play in that animated movie that he did. You should definitely check it out. You know, you got Nazi killing, titties flopping, all kinds of groovy Rob Zombie, deep dark dive. You know,
Nice.
probably all the stuff that he really wanted to do in the movies, but just couldn't. And you put it in a cartoon, and then all of a sudden it flies.
Yeah,
Which
of course.
which is the obvious thing, man. It's just like, we can handle it when it's animated, but we don't want to talk about it. Listen, my brother, it was really cool. I'm looking forward to hanging with you that weekend again, October 28th, specifically.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
Brick by Brick.
I'm
It's
looking
going to
forward to seeing everybody out there.
Yeah,
definitely.
no, it's going to be a great weekend. I'll keep spinning you into the mix of shit that I can at least get away with, but I'll definitely keep it within the podcast. I'm going to be playing that puppet one for a few years. I think it should be required. Like, if we want to adjust the education system, that should be required viewing, I think, now, because it has a unique context to it. It takes a certain element, and even if it's just that basic dynamic, and puts it into something that's really translatable. Like, you would never imagine that dynamic with the type of music that you play. And you guys were just like, yeah, fuck it, put it together.
Yep. That's pretty much how everything happens with us. Yeah, fuck it, let's just do it.
Dude, I love that. Really cool. Listen, Mike, thanks again for joining us. Check him out online, social media. Hey, listen, do you have any other shows coming up before we let you roll?
The rest of this year is really slow for us. We're going to be going back in the studio, and we're going to be recording a 5-song EP, and Joey Z from Life of Agony is going to be producing it.
Nice.
So that will be coming out next year, but we have one show December 9th with Suffocation at Empire Live in Albany, and then that's pretty much it for the year.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to get you guys to at least get to see you for one of the last two shows you got going for the year.
Hell yeah, come out and see us October 28th.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going to be there, brother. I'm already, I'm already there. Jem wouldn't let me escape if I wanted to. So this is
good.
Well, listen, you can't fuck with witches, man. That voodoo doll shit is real. I mean, people joke and stuff, but I'm telling you in no uncertain terms, that shit is real. They just got us all convinced that it's a bunch of hokey pokey kind of, TV fantasy, Stevie Nicks kind of shit. No, that shit's real. It's dark and it's fucking dangerous. Okay, so just the word of the wise. Anybody out there, you want to fuck with a witch, you're on your own. Brother,
Nope.
Thank you again. Listen, we will talk the 28th. I will definitely see you out there.
Sounds good. Be good. Thank you
You too,
very
man.
much.
All right, so that was Mike Valente from Brick by Brick. They're going to be performing again October 28th, specifically, and it's going to be the whole weekend, October 28th, 29th, Saratoga Springs, the Rockin' Oddities Con. Whole bunch of shit, whole bunch of bands, going to be really cool. All right, so this is the segment, and I've actually been really looking forward to this since I heard that they were doing it. So we're going to switch this around. I see my sister Raven there. She put the rose up. So yes, that was your cue, my sister. Bonded by Darkness. Raven O'Reilly, for those of you in the chat, is the lead singer. Joshua Pitts is the guitar player. They are a witch power group. Josh's son also plays in the band. They recently got a new drummer. They redid a couple things, did a video, and it's fucking cool. Definitely, again, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, I can hear what Josh was talking. There's a little bit of a deeper framework. Definitely a better, I guess you could say, structure around it. And, it was a great track to begin with. But sometimes just a little bit of that tweaking and sometimes bringing somebody new in, that will just make it an extra, it's a spicy delicious. So, in the spirit of ass blistering metal, or as I've been known to say, imagine Alanis Morissette consuming the souls of Slayer and being reborn as something else.
You were born to go away, not in the dirt. You were lame. I told you not to come for me. 6 feet under, where you're meant to be.
So yeah, that was fucking powerful. Great job, by the way, to everybody involved. Dancing on Your Grave. And that's from their new album, Obsidian. You can check them out on Facebook, YouTube, social media, Instagram, all those fucking crazy places. And I believe, and I got to do the quick thing because I couldn't find it in my podcast files, but I know that you guys are doing a show. So I'm going to pull that up. Bonded by Darkness. Pull up the exact details because there's another band that I'm going to play a couple tracks towards the end of the evening. For those of you into what you just heard, if you're not doing anything, Friday, October 20th, okay, it's about a 4-hour, little over 4.5 hour shot from Rochester, but depending upon where you are, maybe you live out there. They're going to be playing, okay, in Lakewood, Ohio, at the Foundry, Bonded by Darkness and Frail, with friends Groove, I think GRVE, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I've said this before, it's no disrespect to them. I love Frail, I love Bonded by Darkness. If they're anything even remotely close to either of them, it's going to be a hell of a fucking show. Really powerful female vocal elements, a lot of grave. Okay, thank you, Raven. It's like, yes, Raven and Josh both like grave. Okay, well, see, now I know. See, I couldn't figure that shit out. I'm just looking at it like, okay, this is the artist known as Groot. They are Groot. That's actually what probably really was going through my head. But listen, all joking aside, yeah, Frail's fucking amazing. And you guys are really good too. I gotta be honest, we're not just friends. I really dig the music. It's part of my home playlist. Shia listens to it. My son and Will and Corey both listen to it. I've turned, some of my friends on, like Ed Contini from over the radio station. He really digs it. The witches all dig it, obviously, because it's witch stuff. Yeah, I say I am Groot. Tamara McDuff, who also does a show Sundays on Rochester Free Radio. She just magically appears. See, and what the witches do in our circle, and I can talk about this a little bit more bluntly, and I talked about it before. Yeah, they're building tomato voodoo men, and literally creating ass crack and, shit, and then setting on fire and like, burn, motherfucker, burn. Raven says they're like an 80s pop goth band. Very cool. Interesting. That's an interesting framework to nestle in with. I mean, both Frail and Bonded by Darkness have some really heavy, deep guitar, which I really dig. So I'm not going to lie. You said 80s pop goth band, and I just saw the South Park episode pop up in my head. So, you know what I mean? Sounds like a demented Oreo cookie. You got the two really cool chocolate cookies on the outside and the unidentifiable white creamy shit in the middle. I don't know them, so, I'm not going to say anything. Raven says they're cool. I'm going to take it at face value. It's going to be a really cool show. So for my friends out there, if you're out there, you know what I mean? October 20th, the Foundry, Lakewood, Ohio. I'm definitely working on for 2024, getting Frail and Bonded by Darkness. I would love to see a repeat of that. I think that's a great fucking combination, and, maybe sneak in something like Dangerous Beauty or another female-fronted band from up here and just kind of make it a, the moment of the witches, like a witches ball, something nobody does anymore. I think I see a plan developing. So I'll have to talk to some of the other witches and make that shit happen. We got some venues up here, Josh. That was the other thing. And you and I got to hook up and talk about that for 2024. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of really cool things. And Shia put this together, so I have to kind of find it now. I think it's this. Yes, here's the new graphic for my show. For those of you, again, who follow me and, You get a lot of fuckity fucks when I'm on this show, but you're not going to get them on my radio show, unfortunately. A little bit different language, but a lot of music. You know, we do interviews, we do all kinds of things. But that's Monday nights now, 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. So show's gone to a 3-hour clip. I've been taking this show somewhere between 2 and 3 hours as well, too. I don't have a time frame on this one. Brother Josh in the chat has put in the Facebook link for Gray Ben, so I will definitely have to check that out. Thank you. Female lead singer as well. Thank you, Tony. All right. See, this is how we spread the seed. You know what I mean? A lot of these bands nobody would hear of because commercial radio just simply won't fucking play it. That's why you have like WRFC as a non-profit radio station, and we're going to play whatever the fuck we want. Yeah, Raven's like, she can't imagine me not saying fuck. Well, you listen to my radio show. I don't say fuck on my radio show. And I play Bonded by Darkness a lot on there because I don't have to worry like Brick by Brick about explicit lyrics. Granted, you know, we've been testing the waters, like the Brick by Brick track that I played last night has shit in it. You know what I mean? Which, you know, Brian Judah had a shit on his Sunday football show, so I don't feel real bad. You know what I mean? If they want to come listen to the fucking, if the FCC wants to come after us for a little shit, you know what? I'll be the guy. You know what I mean? I'll stand up for it. Somebody's got to take a fucking stance. Tony's like, yeah, commercial radio is a lot love the beautiful media. It sucks. Yeah, and it is the unfortunate reality. You made a comment before, and I agree that it applies not only to you, but to all the scenes. See, this is the common dynamic that we have, especially with the way technology is. We live in a global environment. So the 518 scene, the 585 scene, the Jersey Shore scene, the Ohio scene, the Brooklyn scene, all these scenes have the common element of local music and a pretty much general disdain for the bullshit prepackaged crap that is being shoved down our throats for $200 to $300 a ticket. Don't get me wrong. If you love Stevie Nicks and you want to pay that kind of money to go out and see her, you know what? God bless you. Have at it. Enjoy it. Live the moment. Most of us, however, cannot afford to drop that kind of money to go out to a show. And especially when you have all these great local bands, regardless if it's Albany, Saratoga Springs, Rochester, you know, again, these bands are not getting rich. They do it because they love it. And that brings a different energy. That brings a different magic to the table. It isn't prepackaged. This is what they love. This is what they do. And they do it well. Okay, I might add. So we're going to cut to one of the Frail tracks. Tony's like, as the Murder Doll sang, I love to say, fuck. Yeah, I come from the George Carlin School of Language. That's been part of what I've been doing for a few years out here. I've been dancing between music and magic and fuckery and just everything in between. Some of it is wanting to have a testament to leave behind that way, you know, when generations of my progeny, you know, are like, well, you know, what was he like? I don't want people to have to translate. Here, you can go listen. He'll tell you. I'm telling you, okay? My words, this is what it is. You know, I've had Shy on the show. I've had my son on the show. I've had a bunch of people on the show. I've had Josh and Raven on the show. I'm going to have them back again soon. We're going to talk about the new stuff that they're doing and what's going on in their world. I've had a lot of you that are part of the Witches Circle. My sister Diana, she's going to come back out. We've had oracles out here. She and I had a fucking blast dancing around. My brother Jonathan Porter, you know what I mean? My brother Chris Miller, you know, and musicians, you know, Doug Gray from Marshall Tucker to Pete Palace from fucking Annika and everybody in between that I can at least, you know, convince to get out here and get swifty with me. Not always easy. Yeah, listen, Tony, I'm with you. George should listen. His words are so fucking relevant these days, more so than ever. You know, he called it. And, you know, this is this is the irony. You know, history tends to repeat itself. It's unfortunate. But, you know, the flip side of it is Darwin's theory is going to play out no matter how many fucking warning labels we put on shit. Okay? Just try not to let it be your kid. All right, so this next track is a cover, but I'm going to be really blunt again. I try not to pull punches. I don't want to ever be an asshole, but I'm gonna put this out there for what it is. I like this version better than the original. And it's not that I didn't like the original, but at the time period in my life, goth was still not really kind of defined, and some of it had, you know, the elements of the glam scene that, you know, for those of us that were in metal, it was like, yeah, get that fucking shit away from me. As I got older, I started to appreciate it more and, you know what I mean, started looking at, you know, different elements of music from different perspectives. I always had it with some of the older stuff, but, you know, listen, environment is everything. So the background on this is a track called Bela Lugosi is Dead. It was originally by a band called Bauhaus, and they are referred to in a lot of circles as one of the inventors of goth, though the band didn't feel that way, and they were actually very vocal about the fact that they wanted to be referenced as dark glam. I don't really even know what the fuck that means, but it was a cool track, you know what I mean? But, you know, again, wasn't really high on my playlist. Hearing Frail do it, and I got to tell you, they did this with their, you know, their Soundgarden cover. They just took it to a whole nother fucking level. So this is Frail's version of Bela Lugosi is Dead. So sit back, enjoy this ride, and then we'll be back. So yeah, a little bit of Braille's version of Bela Lugosi's dead. And Raven, yeah, same analogy. I like when better on it. I like the whole vibe to it. I dance in a lot of shadows and darkness, as Christine Native Love says. And Shia uses this analogy. I use and a lot of people use it, and it really is true. If you're not standing in the light, you cannot cast a fucking shadow. And if you do not understand the darkness will fuck you up. That is the simple truth to it. Our history is fucking etched in blood across the spectrum in it. So just basic common sense says, you know what? We need to understand these dynamics, not only about ourselves, but, the fucking world that we live in. Too many times people just want to, let's just throw some drugs at them and make them go away. We don't want to hear what they have to say, and it just, we're just compounding it and creating now these generational constructs, not only within our cultures and our societies, but as an overall narrative. And then people wonder why shit goes fucking sideways. I'm not saying there's any perfect fucking solution. I, by far, do not have it. But I know some basic shit just from coming through a few years. I'm not, so far down the rabbit hole and I'm like, get off my lawn, kid. But I'm old enough to say, you know what? I've seen some shit along the way. I was a single parent, raised a son along the way. He's not a fucking maniacal fucking asshole, so I must have done something right. You know what I mean? Tony, thank you again. I really appreciate the love. The reason you haven't heard it is because I don't fucking throw this thing through all the paid services. I have avoided that. It's my basic fuck you to the corporate model. I have to dance it to some degrees in promoting and producing shows, and it is inevitable, but I have the luxury again of picking and choosing who I'm putting out there and what I'm going to allow to be a part of. Don't get me wrong, I don't begrudge anybody making a buck, but there is a fine line, and I use the FM broadcast analogy that, when somebody else is, saying, you have to say this, and don't fucking say that, you know what I mean? It's like, get the fuck out of here. Communication is the only real tool that we have to learn and understand. And if we don't communicate, and sometimes, that communication is going to be rough. But I submit, and I'll use Jack's interpretation, you don't want the truth. A lot of people don't want the truth. They want the illusion. They want the great and almighty Oz there behind the curtain, pulling the fucking strings, and then they wonder why, all of a sudden, again, shit goes sideways. Not pointing the finger per se, but I think it's a safe statement that when you have a system that is based for profit, that a lot of things are going to go wrong, because the one common dynamic in human nature tends to be shit like greed. Okay. And once you open that door, you know what? A lot of ugly shit's going to come through. That's, again, the simple truth. Now, does that mean anything that's associated with money is bad? No, obviously we need money, to do the things that we have to do. Okay, it's a lesser of the evils, but we can pick and choose to certain degrees where we're going to spend our dollars, what we're going to support. I'm a big supporter of the local music scene, and I'll put it up there for what it is. Okay, this is where the magic is really happening. It's happening at the Rock and Oddities Con. It's happening October 7th at our show over at the House of Guitars. It's happening October 20th over there in Ohio with Bonded by Darkness and Frail. It's happening October 7th. If you're not up here in Rochester and you're down in Jersey, you want to catch a show, go catch Annika at Dingbats. They're going to be playing with Incognito Theory. A lot of great bands. And if you can't go there, go over to the Photo City Music Hall. Go over to the Montage Theater. Regardless of whatever kind of music you're into, support the local scene, because without it, everything's going to be a stale fucking rice cake. And thank you for that. I respect that as well, too. Listen, if you want to come on the show, you got some stuff you want to talk about, you want to promote, I make it a point to promote from within. So you're hanging out here, you know some people. We got some friends, man. And, you know, when you got friends like that, you know, the least I can do as a friend is say, hey, come on over here, hang out with some friends. So reach out to me, wolf@oldwolfmusic.com, and we will fucking set it up. I love doing that. I believe in the collaborative effort. I talk a lot about strength in numbers. You know what I mean? And the only way it works is when you work it. So I try not to just talk about it, but I try and do it in the elements of the music that I produce, the people that I work with, the other bands that I support, the stuff I do with the radio station for, you know, other nonprofits and stuff, be it, you know, kids with autism or kids with cancer or veterans associations or any number of analogies where, you know, real people in our communities fucking need help. So the universe works in strange ways. It truly does. All right, so I'm going to cut again into another Frail track, and this was one that they recorded live, and I forget exactly where, but it's a really, really nicely produced track, and it's one of the tracks that I really like. And again, I wrote a tune, I'll maybe play it towards the end of the show, called Demons, which was reflective of some of my experiences within the conditioning of religion and the bullshit that, at least that I saw, crossing from childhood into adulthood. And full warning, okay, this video's got a little bit of triggering imagery in it, okay? Frail tends to dance on some of the darker ends, but I believe that they use it to really not per se be disrespectful, but to really draw some of the parallels in the narrative. If you look at the history, especially between witchcraft and religion, okay, there's no way that you can't see the correlation. Now, you may choose to ignore those elements, but again, if you look at it honestly, and you look at history, and you look at, you know, the Egyptians and the Romans and every other fucking culture and civilization that existed on this planet, and you can see the correlation between the stories and the narratives and the imagery, you know what I mean? The old gods became the demons and the monsters of the new age, and, you know, religion kind of was like, well, you know what I mean? We can't have them celebrating this shit, so let's create Christmas. And then somehow that became, let's create a magical rabbit that shits chocolate eggs. Again, you can't make this shit up. Now, I don't begrudge anybody faith. Okay, faith is a beautiful thing when it is applied in its context. So if you're going to come out and you're going to start talking Jesus to me, you had better be hanging out with lepers and whores, and you better be throwing the money lenders out of the fucking temple. Otherwise, I don't want to hear a fucking word you have to say. Okay? That's my truth. Okay? I don't give a shit about the words. Actions are what define who we are. Words are great. You can put them out there. But if, you know, again, if you don't have the actions to back them up, it's no different than teaching a parrot to recite a script, or, as I like to say, scripture. Yes, I don't have any issues. Who told you that? Did Steve tell you that? But anyway, this is a track from Frail. It's a great track. It's called Dead Inside. So sit back and enjoy a little bit of the shadows. And then we'll be back. So yeah, we had Frail's Dead Inside, which was shot and recorded live. This is a really powerful live band, okay? And I am a huge proponent of the dynamic. Again, you can go into a studio, you can do a thing 1,000 times over, but playing your shit live, that's really what defines, you know, the strength or the magic of a band. And as Christine said, yeah, Gwen is definitely, she's got some fucking darkness, but it's a beautiful darkness. And it is, if you look at her words, if you look at what she does, it isn't just framed, you know, from that cheesy, you know, I'm a dark wit. No, she's the real deal. You know what I mean? I would make the same case for Raven, Shia, Atibia, and a lot of others within our circles and stuff like that, that there are dynamics that translate outside, obviously, of the bullshit. Tony made a great statement, and I talk about this a lot. You know, what was magic 200 years ago is fucking technology now. We're only limited by our language and our knowledge, our understanding. So it is fucked up how witchcraft was made to be evil, because really the original core framework of witchcraft was in healing, midwives, cooking, you know what I mean? Basic kind of, hey, you know what I mean? Trying to find love and direction. I mean, the human struggle has been the same since the beginning of fucking time. It is the basis of our emotions, art, literature, everything is reflective of it. And one of those elements, one of those reflections, you know, tends to be music. I wrote Demons again. It was the first of the tracks that I released from my album last year, Music from the Garden. And it was, you know, one of the pandemic tracks that I finally had reached a point. And again, my son was the one who would really encourage me and said, Dad, you have all this fucking music in you. Just do it. So we kind of built a little home studio, and, you know, we did everything ourselves. That track has my brother Matt Brown, who lives in Texas, on vocals, great guy, and Jeff Thal on drums, who lives in Florida. And then the rest of it, all the guitar and the bass and everything, you know, the mixing engineering, was basically me and my son. And he was the one who came up with the concept for the video. Basically, we butchered some anime stuff from a couple of the anime shows that, you know, we have shared over the years. And I believe, you know, again, art is a great teacher. So even if it's a comic book or anime or whatever, the Lord of the Rings, it has meaning in it if you can be open-minded to it. So those animes were both reflective about the struggle between darkness and light, and then how it is many times misinterpreted. You need sometimes darkness to fight darkness. So some of those visuals are reflective of character struggles, you know what I mean, that with good intent, you want to protect the ones that you love, sometimes we have to embrace the fucking darkness. Or even in the simplest analogy, if we don't understand the darkness, how do you get around it? How do you deal with it? And, you know, to some degrees, how do you defeat it? So it's like anything else. If you don't know how to make a pizza, you need to fucking learn. And if you want to learn, okay, you should definitely check out The Witch. I don't know if she has, but I can throw this particular promo out. She does Monday nights, Wednesday nights, and Friday nights, 8 and 10 p.m. coming up tomorrow night, and then Friday at 10 p.m. She knows her shit. You know what I mean? And a lot of people within her circles, they know their shit, strength in numbers. And I'm glad it gave you chills. It was meant to give chills. That's a great testament. I appreciate that. The fucking track is dark. You know what I mean? When I let that shit out of me, that was a lot of years building up to that. And those words, at least for me, you know, it took a little bit to actually get them framed correctly. It was one of the tracks that I struggled with probably the most in its final creation. So as I mentioned, we got up here, Rochester, New York, a show coming up October 7th over at the House of Guitars, the WRFC Rock Show. It's going to be 12 to 6 p.m. It's going to be a free show. Bunch of bands and people I've talked about through the podcast, and I'll keep talking about. You're going to have Gary Mara and his band Skyway. You're going to have Armand from the House of Guitars doing his thing. You got Ayla Huff Music. Okay. You got Hollowell. Really great band. I've been playing a lot of their music. Brian Judah's Days End. They're going to be doing a Genesis set for all you prog rock folks. So it's going to be a nice spectrum of different types of rock and stuff within that. The Mick and Mac Show. Okay. Lillian Nona's Emporium, which is Diane and Nativia bringing their magic out for people. We got our sister Danny. She's an author and artist, works with autistic children. She's going to come out there and show some of her magic. And then we got the WRFC House Band, which is me and a bunch of the wolves around me in my life. Brian Maslin, who's the WRFC president. Brian Judah, who's our station manager. Ed Contini, my brother in Chaos and Love. Mark Tulin, really great guy. I was just talking with him earlier today. He's a really cool dude. Great fucking drummer. Really, really honored to be making music with him. We're hoping to get my brother Steve Litt back out. He's been dancing the cancer, unfortunately, so we're not sure if the universe is going to give him what he needs. But hey, if everybody and anybody could just in their heart and their mind just send a little bit of that magic to brother Steve, the Baron could use it in his ongoing struggles. He's also a DJ. He has a show Saturdays, 1 to 3 p.m., the Rock and Roll Rumble on WRFC Rochester Free Radio. My son, Will Capel, a.k.a. the Indoco Monkey, is going to come out for a couple songs with us. Speaking of which, go ahead. He's real. Say something. See, he couldn't actually come in here and actually speak the language. Speak some fucking language.
Do I have to?
Yes, you have to.
What do you want me to say, though? I don't know what to do.
I don't know. Can you move that cup before it goes kablooey? I'm like trying to move the mic around the room, and they're just like, I shouldn't do that. Like, I'm fucking with the witch's zone here. She's got everything like set up like a fucking booby trap. The voodoo dolls, like you trigger them, they just try and suck your fucking soul. So how you doing there, man?
Getting ready for work.
Getting ready for work. Yes, and he is available, ladies, by the way. So yes, this is the part where the dad pimps out his son for a modest and small shipping and handling fee. You too, Shadow Wizard Pimp Game. Yes. Yes, and that's how, see my son just there. I was like, love you, man. He's running away. He's like, I can't let this old asshole embarrass me in front of 12 people. But it's going out there for the world. Listen, I got people listening from all over the place. I'm always honored and humbled by the support and love. Okay, if you want to learn more, again, you can check me out at wolf@oldwolfmusic.com. You can check out Shia at ladyshia.com. She'll be on tomorrow night. Rumor has it that I'll be around at some point tomorrow night. I did some readings last week, and according to Shia, people are like, bring him back to do more. So yeah, I'll probably come out and pull out my tarot deck and weave some fucking magic. Maybe. I don't know. I get weird about that sometimes. Most of my magic gets channeled through my music. It's safer for the rest of the world that way. Most people are like, again, I don't want to freak people out because I see shit. I pull out the cards and, and I'm like, I'm compelled to have to tell you. And it's not always pretty. I dance in darker shadows, so I tend to see the shadows around people. It's just part of my nature as a wolf. So yes, definitely come check us out. The WRFC Rock Show, if you're going to be up here in Rochester, New York. House of Guitars, free show, 12 to 6 p.m. Those of you that are inclined, I don't often do the, hey, give me some money. But the radio show is trying to raise money through a GoFundMe so we can pay for the licensing to be able to keep on doing free shows and stuff like that. So if you're able, on Facebook, to go on there and do a little something, it would be greatly appreciated. Doesn't matter if it's $5 or $5,000. Anything will help. Well, see, Christine says, I want you to do a reading for me. Well, you'll have to come on tomorrow night then. But yes, rumor has it I'll be there. Listen, basically when I say that, there's no way I can get out of it. Shai has already pretty much said, I want you there. And she has the power. So, as I said earlier, I know better. I don't fuck with witches. Okay, I respect them. I love them truly. Okay, truly. But my mother raised me, and I know. Okay, because my mother is fond of saying, she'll just burn you to ash. And I tend to have a lot of Aries fire symbols in my life. I don't know. Something about being an Aquarius just seems to attract fire to me. I still haven't been able to figure the fuck out. But hey, that's just me. I'm obscene. So anyway, I want to thank everybody again for joining us. Shai is laughing because she knows you'll pay for that later. I'm like, please, mother, no. But this is the banter. This is the love. This is how we roll. And, again, we try and incorporate that and share that to the different degrees that we can. A lot of really cool stuff, like I said, coming down the pike. Shy and I, we're going to be out there October 28, 29. So if you want to come out for a really fucking cool Halloween weekend, come out to Saratoga Springs, hang out with us. We're going to be there for the whole fucking weekend. I think Tony's going to be there. I know, Mike's going to be there. There's going to be a lot of people that have been hanging around. Jem's kind of weaving the magic to create this really wild experience. And it's going to be one of those things. Yeah, Tony says there, hey, we're going to be hanging out, man. We will definitely shoot the shit out there, create some extra magic. I see Dawn just jumped in. Good to see you, sister. Listen again. If you'd like to learn more, you can reach out to me, Wolf at oldwolfmusic.com. Dunham. Yes, I did that. Yeah, listen, you and your... That's beautiful. Listen, that is fucking powerful. Music and magic and all this should be a family experience. So Tony's bringing his wife, his 3 kiddos. Fucking excellent, man. That's the type of stuff that inspires me. That's the type of stuff that gives me hope. One parent to another brother. Yeah, listen, man, if we don't do it, nobody's going to fucking do it. So we're the lion, man. We have to draw it before they fucking burn it down all around us. And again, I'm just saying the whole fucking thing is fucked up. Okay? The whole thing. Okay? Don't kid yourself. Left, right. All right? They're just different extremes of the fucking spectrum. The narrative is, and I will use George Carlin's actual words, they don't want an educated society. They don't want a society that actually works together in love and tolerance and understanding because they can't fuck us then. Okay? They have to keep us distracted. They have to keep us spinning and struggling and panicking and fucking running for oh my God, there's going to be no more toilet paper. Or the other end of the spectrum is like, well, Bill Gates wants to shoot nanos into us so he can track us. Guess what? They're tracking us fucking now. Every fucking cell phone, every fucking credit card, every fucking bank account, every fucking driver's license, every PlayStation, every television, your fucking car. They've been tracking us for fucking generations. Okay, so please don't come floating out this fucking stupidity. I get it. Okay, it's fucked up. But it's already been there, and nobody had anything to say because everybody, I need my cell phone, and, we want to play games, and we want to hear cool music. Listen, this is what it is. It doesn't mean that we have to fucking drive ourselves into extinction by literal pure fucking stupidity, because that's what a lot of it is, and it's framed behind greed, okay? There are countries smaller than states, okay, that have figured it out. You go out to the Netherlands and, you go to places like Norway. Do they have it perfect? No. But do they have a for-profit medical system? No. Okay. Who is they? I don't know. Who is they? Chris Miller wants to know who is they. They are the corporate fucking shitmongers. You know what I mean? That keep us all fucked up. And, brother man here, you know better than most because you've danced within some circles that a lot of people would be like, oh, he must be. And let me tell you, Chris Miller will testify to this, okay? Some of the people that we have been conditioned to think are, terrifying, like bikers. Listen, bikers got more fucking heart and soul in them than most clergymen combined. They're the guys out there doing poker runs to raise money for the kids in the cancer wards or for the veterans that come home all fucked up. Do we have a system that talks real good talk, recruitment? Yes, come fight for us. And then when they come home, they're like, yeah, fuck you, man. You know what I mean? So the narrative is who's, really doing what? We can agree to disagree on certain things. You know what I mean? And if a cat happens to get shot in somebody's backyard, well, we don't know who did that. Do we? Now, some people are going to lose their minds. Peter's going to be like, oh, that was fucking comedy, okay? Nobody is killing any cats, at least to the best of my knowledge. I'm surely not going to kill any cats, even though Shia knows I desperately want to. And my brother Chris can relate to that. Because he lives with cats now, okay? My man for fucking years was an anti-cat guy. Susie the witch shows up, says sprinkle some of her magic dust. And Brother Man's got cats living with him. Now, you could look at that from one of two perspectives. One could say, okay, well, listen, you know what? He compromised. He found a middle ground. Or Susie just completely just fucking, wicker manned his ass and just like, this is how it's going to be. Now, knowing Susie, I'm going to put my money on the fact that going to put it on her because I know I've heard you on cat. And there's no reality that I could believe that you just casually, just woke up one day like, okay, you know what? I can accept cats. No, man. Well, as hard as this is, and I'm going to throw this out there because that's the type of show that I do, but trigger alert, I'm going to go someplace a little bit off the side. And this is the beautiful thing to play on words, as George Carlin would say. When the pussy's in play, all bets are off. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Make of that what you will. As somebody once said, take what you need, leave the rest behind. It's been a blast. I love you all. Remember that you are loved. Maybe not in the way you want to be loved, but, hey, $20 is still $20. But try and love each other, okay? Remember that not everything is always as it seems. Perspective, the Contini context, as I talk a lot about, really applies to just about anything. You can have two people on different sides of the street looking at the same fucking thing, and they're both going to have completely different fucking interpretations and translations. It doesn't always necessarily make it right or wrong. It's just like, hey, that's what you saw. You know what I mean? Joe saw a grilled cheese and Bob saw Jesus Christ in said grilled cheese. Now, there was also an analogy, and I forget where it came from. I think it was a Sam Kinison joke or something about a grilled cheese sandwich looking like Dr. Ruth's vagina or something like that, something horrible. And again, the irony of it's probably lost for anybody who probably doesn't even remember her for what it is. But, back in the day, we could talk about that type of stuff and, nobody would, be like, okay, well, maybe that's a little bit fucked up. Those of you who remember Sam Kinison and, the Dice Man and, some of the other deeper, comedians, I think most of them are, fucking terrified. They saw, Louis C.K. pulled his dick out and got crucified. You know what I mean? Russell Brand, I don't know what the fuck he did, but they got the fucking torches and the pitchforks out. They're coming after that motherfucker, and they're coming after him hard. Now, listen, if even half of what is out there is true, Brother Man fucked up, and there's going to be a price to pay. Women aren't fucking around anymore. They just simply have had enough. Okay, you thought Lorena Bobbitt was bad. You don't know what's coming down the pike. Okay, I know. I can smell it. I'm not going to have any part. I'm going to, like a wolf, I'm going to disappear into the fucking shadows, and I'm going to let the rest of you fucking animals handle it. But I'll give you the fair warning. I'll give you the truth. We have to change certain dynamics before those dynamics change us. That is the narrative. That is what history teaches us, is that no matter how hard you try it, nature doesn't give a fuck. Okay, she doesn't. And the reflection... Yeah, listen, the woke stuff, again, like most things, it just went out of fucking control. I believe that certain things need to be called out for what they are. And I am a strong vocal proponent of, listen, no means fucking no, okay? I was raised in a dynamic that you put your hands on a woman, okay, without something like, your life needs to be out of line, or it's got to be an absolute Batman out of control situation. Listen, those things happen. There are varying degrees. But if you're the kind of guy that just likes to beat up on women, it probably means you're a fucking coward. Okay. It probably means you're a piece of shit. But especially in the analogy, if a woman tells you no, no means fucking no, man. Anything else is fucking rape. I don't know why we dance around it. I don't know why these characters get away with it. But all it does is create an environment where other young men say, well, I guess I can just grab the pussy then. I'm just saying, man. Just saying. We have to find a better fucking balance. And we shouldn't be listening to any fucking used car salesman. All right? Just really. Okay? Especially when there's an obvious agenda on the back end. It's just like, yeah, no, man, you sell that Kool-Aid to somebody else. I'm not fucking drinking it. Yeah, listen, I'm the same way. I'm 100% with the pedo solution. It's just, a big giant eraser made out of rebar jammed deeply into some orifices, you know what I mean? Because playing nice hasn't worked. And, I'm sorry to say, but, there's some dynamics that, aren't worth having a deep conversation about. I don't want to dance in that mouth of madness. Okay. Now, is that the same as, an 18-year-old kid that went out to the club with his friends and a 16-year-old girl that's dressed up like a fucking 28-year-old whore? And something happens in the throes of some fucking alcohol and ecstasy. Does that make that kid a fucking pedo? Absolutely fucking not. Okay? Context matters. But if you're some fucking asshole hanging around in the park and you're grabbing 9-year-old girls, guess no conversation, no debate, no rehabilitation. Sorry, you got to go. You're off the fucking island, man. I feel the same way about fucking priests who, take advantage of children. I don't give a shit what particular cloak you want to hide behind. There are certain behaviors and actions that as a society, we need to just say, you know what? No. I also feel the same way, though, about the context of certain types of violent offense. You know what I mean? If you go out there and you're robbing people, okay, and you're stealing cars and shit like that, you get busted, you deserve to do time, man. It's an old saying we had, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. I know guys who went to jail for fucking years because of the shit that they fucked up. And when they came out, they're like, I was fucking stupid. Okay? Don't waste your life that way. You don't need to. We all go through things. Sometimes shit happens. I get it. But ultimately, we are defined by what we do. So the words, again, talkity talk, but what you do defines. Or as somebody once said, what we do echoes in eternity. You can take that and run with it. All right, so I'm fucking out of here. It's been a blast. I love you all. Again, if you want to come on the show, you got some music, whatever, reach out to me, wolf@oldwolfmusic.com. Until next time, peace out.